What's up, and welcome back to Muffy Malone Brewing, where today we are going to brew a New England IPA. I'm really excited to brew this beer today. It's a very popular style at the moment, and it's easy to see why. It's hazy, it's juicy, really appealing to look at. It gets those characters from its fairly large amounts of flaked oats, wheat or barley, or sometimes a combination of all three. And it also really relies heavy on lots of hop aromas and lots of dry hopping to really kind of get those fruity characters coming through. And it's just such a drinkable and fun beer style. So really excited to have a crack at it today. The fermentables that we'll be using for the beer today will be 72% pilsner malt, and then we're going to go in with 11% of flaked oats and 11% of flaked wheat. And then to give the beer some more complex flavors, we're going to be using 5% of Munich. That should get us to a pre-boil of 1055 and a original gravity of 1070. So let's get brewing. We've been boiling now for 50 minutes and we are ready to add our 10-minute hop additions. They will be our bittering hops, which we'll be using Citra, Mosaic and Galaxy for. We have our hop paddle organised with all of our hops. Just going to go in and get the 10-minute addition in. And while we're at this stage as well, start sanitizing our chilling equipment. So just going to get the pump to run through the immersion chiller to make sure it's all nice and sanitized. So what I've found works really well for me is if you actually use the immersion chiller in a separate bucket, and then you can add the ice water into there. I find that the chilling temperatures go down dramatically, and it saves a lot less water than say using a counterflow or a plate chiller. Okay, so we have finished our 10-minute boil, so it's time to get the heat off, and we want to start doing our aroma hop stand. Once again, we'll be using Mosaic, Citra and Galaxy hops, and we'll be using 30 grams of each. Really hoping that during this process is when we'll start to really build those sort of juicy flavors. Okay, so we've been cooling down now. We are at pitching temperature, but just before we do pitch in our yeast and get into the fermenting chamber, I just want to mention that it's really important at this time that you give this beer style a lot of attention. One of the biggest mistakes that people make with their New England style IPAs is they let them get too much oxygen. So at this stage, it's really good to make sure that when you pitch your yeast that you try and give it as minimal oxygen as possible. So we will be dry hopping the beer about 5 days into fermentation. But aside from that, that's the only time that this beer will see an open fermenter. So I'm just going to go ahead now and get it transferred into the fermenter. For the yeast for this beer, we'll be using the Lallemand New England yeast. So as per the package instructions, it recommends to just rehydrate it in 100 mils of water, which we've done here. And I'll see you at the tasting. And here we have the Hazy New England IPA. This beer came out with a final gravity of 1065 for 6.8% ABV, and it has an IBU of 33. Those numbers are a little bit off to what I had planned in the recipe. Pretty much my brew house efficiency across the whole brew was just slightly down, but really great learning curve. It's definitely a beer that needs a lot of attention when brewing compared to some other simpler recipes. But in terms of the colour, has a really nice golden hazy colour, and with the aroma, you get some kind of like mango-y, pineapple, tropical fruit type aroma off of the beer, which I really like because it makes it really moreish to kind of want to drink it, especially in kind of a warmer day. Let's have a taste and see how it tastes. So flavour-wise with the beer, it has a little bit of a spiciness from the hops, which definitely wasn't expecting, but I do kind of like it. And you definitely do get like those really juicy, fruity flavours coming through with the beer. Almost strangely like a honey flavour, which is also unexpected, but really cool. Super creamy, and yeah, just really juicy, really nice. So it's been a really good learning curve to brew the beer. Definitely think I can make a lot of improvements, but definitely lots of good things to take away from the process as well. So I think we'll definitely brew another one of these with a few small tweaks. But for now, we'll enjoy this one, and we'll see you in the next video. Cheers.